Dismantle, clean, reassemble, oil and adjust the simple 30-hour in-part alarm. We're actually going to be working on this Smith because it's fairly representative of other alarms, and most of the knowledge and the skills, they're all transferable between clocks. Now let's start off by removing the winding key and the hand setters, which will simply, as a hand set, the winding key will just unscrew, the alarm hand setter will unscrew, and the hand setter at the time side just pulls off. Now, because it's vulnerable, the first thing we want to remove is the balance. So there we've got the pin that holds the end of the balance spring. So hold that pin top and bottom with a flat nose pliers. You'll have to turn the clock over for that. Hold it top and bottom like so with a flat nose pliers, but hold it in such a way that if you did slip, that no damage would be caused to the balance spring. Now just with a little waggle and a pull, the balance pin should come out. Now feed the end of the balance spring out from where it's pinned there, and also out from the regulator just here. Now avoid grabbing hold of the balance spring like so, rather just turn the balance, and you can see the balance spring tends to jump out. Now it's got to go around one more turn in actual fact. Right. Now if you just tuck the end of the balance spring around, it should come out from the gap in the regulator. Like so. So there's no need to grip the balance spring at all. Just tuck it around. There we are, it's now jump free. Now you want to support or move the regulator first to give room for the balance to come out. And now the bottom cup screw here is unscrewed while you support the balance. Now unscrew the bottom cup screw, and then carefully lift out the balance, making sure it doesn't snag on the regulator or the stud or any other part of the clock. And then put the balance to one side. Now before you strip any clock, you must take the power off the mainsprings. We can see by looking at these two that the alarm mainspring, although that's fairly well down, the time mainspring is almost fully wound. So let's start off by letting down the alarm spring. To let the alarm spring down, one alternative would be to replace the alarm hand setter and then turn the alarm set arbor until the alarm release wheel lifts, and then just run the string down. Now we know the alarm spring is run down when the outer coil here strikes that little bar there. This bar travels across the clock here, so when the two are in contact, that's the power off of the alarm spring. If you want to take off just a little bit more power, just push that last coil away from that bar, and you can take the power down a little bit more. Right, that alarm spring is now very open coiled, and it would be safe to strip the clock from that point of view. But the mainspring on the time side is still quite fully wound. So what we do to release the power on the time side is to hold, well, what we're actually going to do is remove the pallet and let it run down. But to do that, first of all, hold the third and fourth wheels with the middle finger of the left hand. After slapping the nut to the pillar closest to the pallet. So the pallets are over here, so I've slackened that pillar nut there, and now we take it off the pillar. Now hold up the third and fourth wheels with the middle finger of the left hand, hold the pallet staff, lift the corner of the plate, and very carefully lift out the pallet top pivot from its hole, like so, without bending the bottom pivot, and then remove the pallet. At the moment, I'm still holding the train up with that finger, so now remove that finger, make sure the plate is down, and then allow the clock to run down. While the clock is running down, you could always remove the alarm release wheel and the minute wheel. In fact, you could have let the alarm down that way anyway. So to take those off, use your top cutters to press on the centre of the pin. Now grab hold of the pin on an area that doesn't rub on the cam. Remove the pin. Now you may find, if the clock hasn't been stripped before, that there are burrs around the hole where the alarm release pin fits. If that's the case, then find a needle file and just nibble away at the edge of the hole with a needle file, like so, remembering that it's considered a great sin to mark a clock, so you want to nibble away very carefully at the hole going through there, remove the burr and not at all. Then lift off the alarm release wheel, put that to one side for cleaning, lift off the alarm release spring, put that to one side for cleaning, lift off the minute wheel and put that to one side for cleaning. Now, while that's been going on, the mainspring has run down, as you can see, and it's very open coiled. I would want to see that coil expanded by a little bit more than the diameter of the great wheel at least. It's only then that you would have let off enough power not to be a danger to the clock or yourself. So always make sure that the mainspring is open coiled and the coil is at least the diameter of the great wheel or a little bit more.
So the great wheel is what's underneath the spring.
Now we're going to strip the rest of the clock. Now before you strip the rest of the clock, just double check on yourself. Just check that the mainspring time side is fully down. Check that the alarm spring is fully down by having an open coil spring there. Now remove the other 3 nuts, and you'll notice that for this that I'm using the top cutters as if it were an adjustable spanner. Now lift the plate. There's a little bit of power left behind in these wheels, so the wheels are likely to jump, but they're not likely to do you or the clock any harm at all. So now lift out the brake wheel. The alarm stop detent, the alarm pallets, the alarm escape wheel, the brake wheel on the alarm side, the escape wheel, the fourth wheel and the third wheel. When you strip the clock, you may find there's a reluctance of the great wheel to come away from the plate. This can be because when the winding key screws down, it screws down onto that shoulder. Now, and it can throw a burr up on the shoulder, preventing the arbor from pulling all the way out. So if that's the case, just get a needle file and nibble away a little bit at the burr until this does come out. Now to separate the mainspring from the great wheel, just cup your hands over the mainspring, turn in an anti-clockwise direction and just free the spring from the great wheel and put that to one side.
That was the time side.
That was the time side. And now do the same with the alarm brake wheel. Turn in a clockwise direction, right, an anti-clockwise direction to expand the inner coil and just lift that off and put that to one side. Now we want to remove the cannon pinion. In removing the cannon pinion, we've got to be careful not to support on the back of that pin. Find the pin. It's underneath the wheel there. If you support on the back of that pin, it can drive the pin through the plate. We want to be careful not to support on the back of that cup screw. So what we do is pass a burnishing file with the burnish side there, pass that between the plate and the centre wheel. Keep this knuckle well away from that wheel and don't force that in, otherwise you'll lift the wheel off the pinion. Now turn over, reposition so that you're not resting on that pin. Now with a heavy downward pressure with your thumb, you want to use a mallet to strike the top of the centre wheel. Like so, and drive the centre wheel down through the cannon pinion.
That won't pull then. Do you think I would be able to pull that up through?
You won't be able to pull it up through, there's the end of the arbor there, flush with the top of the cannon pinion. So if you now hold in a vise on this diameter here, keeping the pivot there protected from the vise, so the vise actually grips on the hand setting area across there, then you should find then that by grabbing hold of the cannon pinion and giving it a waggle and a pull, it should come off. That's the cannon pinion pulled off. Now, when you lift the centre wheel off, look out for a washer which will either be on the bottom plate there, or, as it is in this instance, it will be on the centre wheel arbor. So now just lift that washer up, put that to one side, and now that's all of the various parts of the clock ready for cleaning. So we're going to clean the bottom plate, the top plate, brake wheel, time side, brake wheel alarm side, the centre wheel, the third wheel time side, fourth wheel, escape wheel alarm side, alarm pallets, alarm stop detent, escape wheel for the time side, alarm. Now that the clock has been cleaned, the next thing I want to do is remove all the sawdust, because the clock is dried in sawdust, and then check all of the pinion leaves to ensure that they're clean, that they're free from dirt. Check that the pivots are straight and polished and parallel, no wear on the pivots. Also, peg out all of the holes in both plates and keep pegging until the pegwood comes out clean. Let's peg the plate from that side. Now peg the plate from the inside. Third wheel, fourth wheel, escape and pallet on the alarm side. So do that on both plates. Shorten the pegwood in between. Turn the clock over, do the same on this side. And also remember to clean the cup screws, both of them. Check the cup screws for wear. Also check that the bottom of the cup screw is clean. It's quite possible that when you're picking the hole out, or the cup, that the pegwood breaks off in the bottom of the cup, and it's possible just to pack the dirt down in the bottom of the hole. So if necessary, use a sharp tool like the end of an oiler to have a little tickle around the bottom of the hole before it's clean. Right, that's all the holes picked out. So now we're ready to talk about lubrication. The lubricants that we're going to use are Microtime F-type medium and Microtime H-type heavy. Microtime is a very well-known lubricant, horological lubricant. It's not too expensive and efficient at doing its job. Now, as a general rule, when you're lubricating, you would tend to use a heavy grade of oil on the larger parts where the pressure is heaviest, and you use more of it. You use the lighter grades of oil where the loads are lighter, and you tend to use less oil. That's just as a general rule. The whole idea of using a lubricant anyway is not to remove the friction, but rather to reduce and to control friction. That's really why we're using lubricants. Now, I would suggest to you that you put the heavy grade of oil in the yellow oil pot and the medium grade in the other oil pot. The size of the pots are indicated by the diameter of the top of the pot there and there. It's just a big pot, heavy oil, a smaller pot, lighter oil. It's a logical system to me anyway. It doesn't really matter what system you use, but that is logical to me. So it's well known in horology that we throw away more oil than we actually use. So clean your oil pot out once a week, whether it appears to need it or not. The oil will deteriorate through particularly picking dirt up and dirt and dust up from around the bench, sort of airborne dust, things like that. But also the oil will deteriorate through absorbing moisture from the air, and also light helps the oil to deteriorate. Some people would advocate cleaning your oil pots out daily. I think that's going a bit over the top. I think that weekly is enough. But certainly don't keep your oil on your bench long enough to build up with moisture and dirt. That's the heavy oil pot cleaned out. We clean the lid as well. And now clean out the medium grade oil pot. Now the H-type heavy into the yellow pot. Don't fill your pot because you can throw half of it away anyway, or more than half. So only partially fill the pot.
Is it very dear, that oil?
No, I'm not sure what the cost is, but it is not an expensive oil, not as oils go. Probably expensive compared with car engine oil, but that's in part due to the fact that we use it in such small quantities. But as oils, as horological oils go, Microtime is not the most expensive, but quite up to the job. So that's the oil replenished in the pots. Now there are some places on the clock that would be easier to oil now before we start assembling. If we take the drawing of the parts of an alarm clock, now the sort of thing that I'm going to do is say, for example, great wheel top and bottom pivots heavy. And what you could consider doing is bringing a leader line from the actual lubrication point and marking each heavy. That will be the top and the bottom pivots. And then later on, when I say third wheel top and bottom pivots medium, similarly bring a leader line out from there and there and label that M for medium. And then by the time we finish the clock, this parts list here will also double as a lubrication chart for you. Now these bits are easily shown on a bit of paper like this, but there will be lubrication points that are not so easily shown. For example, here on the alarm set arbor, and what I would suggest here, realizing that hidden detail in engineering drawing will be a dotted line, what you could do is bring out one solid line and one dotted line to show that there are two lubrication points, one underneath, one on top. In fact, they will be heavy oil. This is a two-dimensional drawing, and of course the actual parts are three-dimensional, and it's a little bit difficult to show all the points on this chart, but at least we're going a long way to meet the oiling requirements by marking this in the best way that we can. If you use a different colour pen to mark the lubrication points, then the lubrication points will stand out from the part names. So let's start then, well, we might as well start with the bit that I just indicated, and that is the alarm set arbor.
So we're on the top plate, are we?
So we're now on the top plate, pick up a little bit of oil, and then apply it to a position between the arbor and that spring. Turn the plate over and apply a drop of heavy oil. A drop is intended to mean a globule of oil. Let's get the focusing right a minute. A drop is intended to mean a globule of oil on the end of your oiler. Can't get the focusing quite right for a minute. There we are. It's not actually a drop that drips off of the end.